and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Annetta Felix. Beginning the news now on a very cheerful note, Ahmed Musa has scored twice on his return to the starting lineup as Nigeria kept their World Cup knockout hopes alive and dealt Iceland chances a blow with a 2-0 win in Volgograd. The Leicester forward on loan at CSK Moscow last season struck a volleyed opener 4 minutes after the restart and further scored a goal 15 minutes from time. Musa's brace means he now has 4 World Cup goals for Nigeria, at least twice better than Emmanuel Menike and Kalu Uche, who held the record with 2 goals each. Meanwhile, Nigerians have been reacting to his latest exploit. Here's what some of them had to say.
The match was awesome. It really felt good watching it compared to the one they played before. Really, when I saw them, when they were starting, you know, we really didn't have this hope that it was going to be like what we saw. But eventually when they started, the spirit was high, everything, and they made us proud. We actually enjoyed it. They played. All the lapses they had the previous time, I think the coach was able to put his ass together and they made the right choices. Even in selecting, if you watch the match, the right people were on ground, you know. So I think it's fine. It's fine. I would just advise that they put in that same spirit. Teamwork, very, very necessary.
Let me say, so interesting, so wonderful. That is what we have been expecting from Nigeria for long. And then, even though they lost for Corinthians to Nigeria, it was, let me say, it was an abuse. Nigeria should win the match, I know. And then the most surprising thing is that Musa, the guy made the match wonderful. Seriously, he was the one that broke everything from the up to down, and I love the first goal. Imagine the first match, the halftime. The match was not interesting. It was like boring. Nigeria was dulling. But the second half, I think maybe the coach just see that this is where we were lacking, and then he brought it up, and then we can see it. He made it.
I think we saw a good game. We've corrected some of the mistakes we saw in the first game. We came into this game with a 3-5-2. We're good aerially, so some of the issues we had with the set piece in the previous games, you saw quite some difference in this game. Also, we had some mobility, you know, down the flanks, and bringing Musa in was a perfect choice, okay, today, because he could dribble, he has a guile, he has the energy, and one-on-one you can count on Musa, okay. In this kind of situation, just like we saw today, you knew that if he had the chances, we're going for the goals.
Moving on, the Kaduna State Police says it has made 42 arrests so far in connection to the gruesome killings of a police officer by Shiite members during their bloody protest on Thursday in the state capital. Well, this is according to the command's public relations officer, Mukhtar Aliyu. Members of the Shiites had been, between Wednesday and Thursday, stormed the state capital to protest the detention of their leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, his wife Zina, and other members of the movement held in various detention facilities in the north. In a related development, the Department of State Services says it has arrested 2 commanders of the Islamic State in West Africa in Kukuntu village, Gwagwalada, Abuja. The DSS spokesman, Tony Opuyo, said in a statement that they arrested one Bashiru Adams and Rafiu Sajo in Abuja. Opuyo said the suspects were discovered to have concluded plans to perpetrate the plans of the group in the area, and in collaboration with Boko Haram to carry out violent attacks on innocent persons. He, however, urged members of the public who have useful security information not to hesitate to volunteer same to the appropriate security agencies. Security experts in Nigeria have asked the Nigerian police force to review its budgeting process to ensure transparency. This was a resolution of speakers at a review of a report published by a non-governmental organization, Network for Police Reform in Nigeria. In the report, it focused on the inadequate funding of the police. And this next report takes a look at what the report is all about and the solution preferred.
For many years now, the issue of inadequate funding has rocked the Nigerian police force. The issue was thrown into light in December 2017 when Senate President Bukola Saraki admitted the police was the most underfunded in the world. As part of efforts to address this, a non-governmental organization, Network for Police Reform in Nigeria launched a new report to look at the key issues. The body has called this forum to unveil its findings.
The researchers interviewed individuals with direct experience of police operations in an attempt to clarify the following budget matters. 1. Responsibility for the preparation of budget requests submitted to the federal government. 2. The MPF budget process. 3. MPF financing. 4. Budget releases. 5. Budget for capital projects and fixed assets. 6. Payment of supplier invoices. And 7. Operational issues affected by the budget process. The results of the interviews are set out in the reports that we are presenting publicly today. Interviewees were unanimous in their belief that the Nigerian Police Force budget process is not fit for purpose. They were also unanimous in their belief that even if the budget was released in full, other than salaries, federal government funding represents a contribution towards cost rather than an attempt to fund the APF. Other than summarizing the information for presentation purposes, NOPRIM presents the information as it was received by NOPRIM, expressing no opinion on the validity of any view expressed or statements made.
Other speakers at the event believe the issue of inadequate funding may be linked to the lack of transparency in the police budgeting process.
Identify a very nebulous attitude of the police itself in saying that the issues of police budgeting and financing and processes is sensitive. The word is sensitive. Very fluid, very nebulous, not certain. Indeed, sensitive in our climate means so many things. You know, lies are better told in English.
Every divisional police officer is supposed to evaluate the problems he has, prepare a budget that will improve his services within the division where he serves. But that is not done. The Inspector General sits in his office with the budget office, as you have observed in the report, and prepares a budget, some of whom have never been DPOs, so they really do not know the problem of a DPO.
In her address, International Security Advisor Katrina Aitken-Ladd asked the Nigerian government to review the police bill to address issues affecting the force.
I think we need a strengthening of public complaints and of police oversight bodies. And I'd like to take this opportunity to applaud NOPRIN on their recent statement pointing to the recommendations of the Bureau of Public Sector Reform that a non-security person be appointed as the chair of the Police Service Commission. And I hope very much that this is something that the National Assembly will look carefully at. And finally, I think there is a dire need to look again at the police bill. I think there is a dire need for the Police Act that governs the police, its planning and its operations, to be renewed fundamentally in such a way that it is brought up to speed, both with professional standards and modern standards of policing, but also that reflects the challenges and the threats that Nigeria faces today.
If there is one thing everyone in this gathering agrees with, it's the fact that the police needs to reform its budgeting process. This, they say, will go a long way to address the many issues depriving it from performing effectively. Fidelia Aguncha, TV360, Lagos, Nigeria.
All is set for the convention of the ruling All Progressives Congress to elect its national officers. With delegates expected from the 36 states of the Federation, the event is expected to determine if the APC will stay as one indivisible party ahead of 2019 or otherwise. TV360's Tunji Olanipekun reports.
It is the biggest political event that will be taking place in Nigeria this weekend. The tenure of John Oyegun-led National Executive ends on June 25, 2018. As such, another executive is expected to be elected on Saturday, June 23. The Eagle Square is already wearing a new look. Campaign posters that littered everywhere is an indication that the election will be keenly contested. Negotiation, compromises, horse trading, political maneuvering, all will characterize this convention, but the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, says the convention will be transparent and fair to all.
Everything is being put in place to ensure we have a hitch-free convention. We are a democratic party. Nobody is going to be gagged. Nobody is going to be stopped from contesting any office. But you know, as part of the election processes, there are negotiations. There are agreements, there are consensus-building mechanisms that have been put in place. We will deploy everything available to the party and its leadership to ensure we have a hitch-free election.
This convention is crucial to the APC ahead of the general election in 2019, and Boss Mustafa agrees that the ruling party will need more than just promises to win Nigerians' votes.
Our election processes in 2015 will be slightly different from 2019. We're an incumbent government, so we will not go to the electorates with promises. We will go with scorecards of what we've been able to achieve.
If you are thinking of what the security of this event will look like, it is extremely secured. More than 4,000 men of the Nigerian police, the civil defense, and officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps are on ground to ensure security. And there are reports that more will be deployed for Saturday's event. On the business side of it, hoteliers in Abuja are catching in on the convention to make huge sales. Presently, virtually all the hotels in central area of Abuja are fully booked. This is because more than 6,500 delegates have been expected from across Nigeria to be in Abuja this weekend. From Maitama to Asokoro, Wuse, Garuki, Gwarinpa, virtually all the hotels in these areas are no more opening to customers, at least till after the convention. From Abuja, Sunjola Nikwekun, TV360 News.
Ahead of the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress, the Transportation Secretariat in the Federal Capital have announced that an unusual influx of human and vehicular traffic will be experienced in the city, with the attendant traffic congestion in and around the venue. In a statement released by the Secretary Transportation Secretariat, Comrade Kayode Okpeifa, he said all vehicular movement through the Shehu Shagari Way from the early hours of Saturday will be diverted at Ralph Shudende Street by Bullis Building to link Central Business District. He added that the Secretariat has mobilized officers of the FCT Directorate of Road Traffic Services and other traffic enforcement agencies to various flashpoints to avoid congestion. The people of Borno can now heave a sigh of relief if the submissions of Ibrahim Mashalia are anything to go by. Ibrahim Mashalia says his entrance into the political scene is born out of a passion to restore social justice, which remains alien to the good people of Borno State. Mashalia, a renowned pilot and aviation trainer, made this disclosure on Friday in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, during the presentation of membership cards by the delegation of Labour Party. According to the governorship aspirants, the ruling party in Borno State has done its uttermost, but there is still need for improvement, as the days of impunity, mediocrity, and empty promises of the governing party are over. He assured that upon his assumption of office, he would ensure the safe return of all indigenes of Borno State forced out of their homes and occupying various camps in the wake of insurgency.
I've always said that the reason that I have decided to take the bull by the horn is because I have lost confidence in the leaderships that we've had over time, particularly from 1999 to date. The reason we have so much insurgency in that place is because there has been lack of truth, and therefore social injustice cannot hold. And as long as there is no social justice, there will be no peace. And if there is no peace, there cannot be any development at all. There's been a lot of neglect, particularly in northern Borno and the southern Borno. You have center being developed and nothing is happening in the other areas. And we have so much impunity in leadership and falsehood and deceit. The people have lost faith. My choice of Labour Party is not a mystery. The value the Labour Party stands for is the reason why I am there.
You're still watching Business News now. We'll bring you news in business right after this.
Hello, welcome to Business News. I am Fidelia Aguncha. In response to President Muhammadu Buhari's disapproval on the amendments made to the 2018 budget, the National Assembly has explained why certain projects were injected into the budget. Their explanations were contained in a 12-page statement titled, "The President's Budget Speech, Our Response." The statement was signed by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Aliyu Abdullahi, and Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Abdulrazak Namdaz, where the lawmakers defended their action. Nigeria's Minister for Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma, has pledged to ensure a proper implementation of the 2018 budget. The minister made the pledge at a public presentation of the budget at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. He said the 2018 budget is to consolidate on the 2016 budget of change and 2017 budget of recovery and growth. Udoma also explained that the federal government is focusing on economic diversification to generate funds.
We are determined, and I want to make that very clear, we are determined to make sure the budget is effectively implemented. And that is why the President said we will work closely with the National Assembly. Where we need adjustments, we will approach them with either supplementary or amendment budget, as the case may be, to address those issues. We believe that they will cooperate with us because ultimately the development of Nigeria is the business and the concern of all of us. We are seeking to optimize derivable benefits from oil by restructuring our equity in joint venture oil assets, whilst we intensify our efforts at accelerating economic diversification and non-oil generation. And let me explain that. We want to fire on the two cylinders of oil and non-oil. We need oil to help us to develop non-oil. And that is why we're looking at the joint venture oil assets to take some from oil and move into non-oil. Things like the railway program, our road infrastructure program, because it is important that we diversify the economy.
Countries in the OPEC oil cartel have agreed to a new oil output level that effectively increases production by almost 1 million barrels per day. The increase was announced after ministers from the group met on Friday in Vienna. The production increase will partly undo a 1.2 million barrel cut OPEC agreed on in late 2016 that has helped push up the price of oil. It was another bearish run at the Nigeria Stock Exchange as the market closed in the reds for a third straight day. Declining by 0.76%, the all-share index fell to 37,862 basis points from 38,152 basis points recorded in the previous trading session. The market capitalization, on the other hand, crashed by over 100 billion naira, closing this trading week at 13,715 trillion naira. Topping the gainers table was Okumu Oil Palm, which closed at 94.2 naira, appreciating by 4.43%, while Dangote Cement led the pack of losers, depreciating by 2.30%. Fidelity Bank, Honeyflower Mill, UCAP, and First Bank of Nigeria Holdings were the most traded stock for the day as 3,847 deals exchanged hands at 1.428 billion naira. Well, that's all on business news. Do stay tuned for more stories.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello, Alhaji. right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello? Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I will just call you.
Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we are in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
You're welcome back on to news on the foreign scene. The Tunisian government have arrested the main organizer of a migrant smuggling operation after at least 87 people drowned when their boat sank off the southern coast this month. Dozens of migrants were rescued by the Coast Guard when the boat sank off Kekena Island from where it had settled. The Defense Ministry said the man was arrested alongside another man described as his business partner, a military man who was trying to take them out of Kekena in his car. Prime Minister Yusuf Chad has sacked Interior Minister Lofty Brahim and 10 security officials for failing to stop the boat. Security forces have since cracked down on migrant smugglers in various parts of Tunisia. The United Nations have accused the Venezuelan security forces of suspected killing of hundreds of demonstrators. They also allege that the criminals enjoy immunity from persecution, indicating that the rule of law is virtually absent in the country. United Nations Human Rights Office called on the government to bring perpetrators to justice and said it was sending its reports to the International Criminal Court, ICC, whose prosecutor opened a preliminary investigation in February. Meanwhile, under previous Attorney General Luisa Diaz, who fled Venezuela last year, 357 security officers were believed to be under investigation for crime-related killings, but there has been no public information since then, the report said. Heading now to sports, Argentina has denied reports that players want coach Jorge Sampaoli sacked before their final World Cup group game against Nigeria after a humbling 3-0 defeat by Croatia. An Argentine team official said in a statement that the report is absolutely false. He added that all that has been said about a players' meeting or anything else is all false. Reports have been flying in both local and international media of a rift between Argentinian players and the coaching staff following the match on Thursday. It is also suggested that 1986 World Cup winner George Burruchaga, the team's technical director, will take charge for Tuesday's must-win game against Nigeria. And it's a joyful wrap on News Now. I am Annetta Felix. Thank you for watching.